Hi, Sailor Moon here. Today we're going to talk about why a lot of folks hated the Deke Sailor Moon. A lot of folks scathed the Deke Sailor Moon for, shifting out borrowed names for other borrowed names. They take it as a slight, that the Dawnish borrowed names, which some of them are more well known than others, were shifted out, for Latinist, Frenchist, either Spanish or Hebrewish, or Hellenish or Blacklandish borrowed names, that names that folks speaking English would know more of, due to the grounds that English borrowed though more names from those speeches than they did from Dawnish. Another thing that they also hate about it or scathe is the skimming. They were upset that the blood was skimmed out of the fights, that some weapons were skimmed it out. And they made a big deal about those things, which at the end of the day, you would think they wouldn't make a big deal over, but they did. And they also, and those are the two big ones on the list. They also made a big deal about the show playing, and they thought that the folks that were casted to speak for them didn't speak the way they thought it should be spoken, or whatever. They made a big deal about that one, and another thing they hated about it too. And their forgivenesses for hating it are all kind of weird, And some folks are angry that it's in English. Can you believe that? Yeah, there are some folks that were angry at it that it was in English. The forgiveness for hating on it is that they say, oh, well, folks were too lazy to learn another speech, so that's why it was put in English, because they were just too lazy to learn another speech. And I don't know why they have that belief for, as almost if you should not be in your speech, and you should know how to speak more than one speech. That was there also another dumb forgiveness that they may have came up with. Then they make a big deal about street names or near names, being shifted, and thought that shouldn't be a thing, and also wanted the Tuskler in the room that they made a big deal out of was Zoisite, being a woman, where in every other telling of Sailor Moon, Zoisite is a man, but in Deke's world, Zoisite's a woman, and they thought that, and they got angry because they thought that the Deke Sailor Moon should have not shifted Zoisite to a woman. Even though back then, that was the oversight. Back then, the mindset was, or the belief was, that if you were making a film for children or a show or play for children, you couldn't have anyone who was unstraight, even if they weren't doing anything wrong. It wasn't like now, where the mindset, the openness, the trusting, and the understanding is there. Back then, a lot of folks weren't that open-minded or that entrusting, and Deke was worried about Folkworks pulling off the show, or worried about other folks, watching the show and then making a big deal about it. So, yeah, at the end of the day, those are the things they hate the Deke Sailor Moon for. They say that it's unwatchable, but that is a belief that they have. It's not true, but it is their belief. And some folks, before I end this film, will say that you're not a true Sailor Moon follower if you like the Deep Glee Sailor Moon 9 between 95 YL to 9 between 98 YL. Anyway, that's all the time I got. Give this film a like, share and playlist it, and I'll see you later.